that with this, you have the shore crane lifting a cargo which is palletized, but they can lift so much because it's using the frame. You would think that it's a container. It's not a container. It's a palletized cargo, but because it is using the frame, it can lift so much at a time. Then when we come to the discharging of containers, when we come to the discharging of containers, discharge of containers, they use mainly the ship-to-shore gantry cranes to do the lifting off and on to the ship. But when the cargo gets to the shore, then you have so many types of gears. When you use, for the big ships or ships carrying any appreciable number of containers, if you use the ship's gears, it's a very slow process. As you would see, you will have to use this container spreader. Okay. This container spreader, which would mean that somebody has to, they had a mechanism when the container sits on, unlike in the very olden days where somebody had to go and put the sling, these 4 slings, in the corner castings here. Somebody had to go and put them in the corner castings, and he had to climb on top of the container to do that. But then they brought this one. You said, hey, they will climb on, do it, get down a ladder, and get off before they can lift the container. So you can imagine how slow that process was. And it was interesting that you get to some ports, they intentionally always put a very old man to do that aspect of the job. And the old people, you know, they are afraid of falling and hurting themselves. So he would just take his time to climb up, go from corner to put the slings with the hooks, get off slowly and come down. So that process for one container can take about 10 minutes, okay, which is very, very slow. Then this one came in. With this one, they didn't need anybody to climb on top. They had some rope hanging in the middle here. When the person, when the container lands, the spreader lands on the container, they pull a bar and then it engages the container and they lift it. But currently you have these type of spreaders, which you saw, those of you who were watching the movie, you saw that the man was referring to the flippers. These are the flippers he was talking about. So they have buttons that would engage the flipper. So everything is now done just from the top there. He can do it, I mean, by controlling the knobs that are on his equipment. He can do all that within a very short time. So this is from the ship to shore. But when it gets to the shore, then we have different equipment like this 40-footer container handling equipment. It works on a magnet sort of system. It goes and attaches to the container, and then it is able to transport it. It's not using forklifts or anything. It's just a magnet that attaches to the container and goes there. These are the ship-to-shore gantry cranes, as you can see. In some advanced countries, they have a lot of them. Okay, just one terminal or one bed, they can get as many as 4 cranes working on one ship. So when the cargoes are put on shore, then you have the horizontal transport facilities, like the tug masters, the straddle carriers, reach stackers, and so on. They do the movement of the containers on the shore. From the ship, it is only the ship-to-shore gantry crane that does that. It moves it on and off the ship. But when it lands on the shore, then they have to be transporting the containers on trailers and so on. But the equipment that handle them within the port are the tug masters, the straddle carriers, reach stackers, and others. So this is the ship-to-shore gantry crane. The forklifts are not normally used in the very big container ships or any appreciable cargo handling. It's a straddle carrier. Okay. Picks the container. Sometimes if you go to some of these freight stations, you see them moving about, packing the containers, arranging them in the order in which they will be picked and sent to the ship, and so on. They always have to arrange on the shore side. They have to arrange these containers ready for picking. No, it isn't when the ship is in, you are now going to be searching that this container, which is supposed to be on the Shenzhen, is at this place. You are now going to fetch it. They will pack them all ready for a particular ship, and it is these straddle carriers that do the motion around. And you have a tug master. The tug master is like an articulator head, and it can be usually is coupled to a low bed transporter, and then they move the cargoes around in the port. And sometimes you have the specialized forklift truck also helping in some cases. Then you have the standard top lifter. This one is, it can reach, they can extend the arm, this arm here. It can work quite low, and then it can also extend this arm to a very great height, and then be working, lifting the high up containers down. The top lifter, that is what it does. The reach stacker is almost also like the top lifter, and it can also reach to the top, and it lifts up high up containers and stacks them, arranges them as they are required. The straddle carrier actually does a lot of the movement. These ones, they are always packing. The reach stacker and the top lifter, they are doing the packing. But the straddle carrier is the one that will be moving them around, running around, trying to arrange or rearrange the containers as they are needed. Okay. Then we also have other gears within the ports that they use for heavy equipment, like the industrial load heavy lifter. Sometimes when they carry these, they carry what we call project cargoes that are used for bridge constructions and other things. They have to be moved around to be carried onto the ship. In fact, when they are even going to be loaded onto the ship, these project cargoes, oftentimes if it is a ship's crane, these cranes and derricks, they have their maximum capacity they can lift. Cranes usually aren't that strong. Container cranes, for example, they are looking at lifting weights within the range of 20 to, let's say, 40 tons maximum. But we are looking at cargoes, some of which can be about 300 tons a piece. So for these things, derricks are more robust at lifting this, or heavy lift cranes. Then they have to bring those in. But within the port, when they are transporting them, because if they are moving them from the manufacturing plants, then they have to be able to handle them within the port. They are handled by these industrial load heavy lifters. Okay. Then you have the ingot carriers. Okay. They carry ingots like aluminium ingots and steel and so on. They move them about. The ingots, they are very, very heavy cargoes, condensed and very, very heavy cargoes, whether they are aluminium or whatever. They are very heavy cargoes, and these machines are able to move them about within the port. Then you have the long tandem lifters. This is your thing. It has to move to top, comes here. Industrial load, long tandem cargoes. So they have two of the machines because the pipe, the tube is so long. One equipment alone, the heavy load lifter, one alone cannot carry it. So you need two of them, and then they'll carry it along. Okay. For example, you can see that there's a hole here. Here in Ghana, when they are constructing the road, they bring those gutter, which has those wooden structures they use in constructing gutters, and then they will allow the water to run in. But in some advanced countries, their gutters are very, very big things. Okay? The underground drainage system or sewerage system, they are very big, and this hole here will then allow the dropping of the rain and draining of the rain through the tubes and into wherever they are sent. Then you have the precast concrete carrier. Concrete that has been made, whether for bridge building or for gutter construction. They have machines, special machines that can lift them and transport them around within the port, send them to the ship side for the cranes or derricks to lift them onto the ship and so on. So you have these other machines in the port for the handling of cargoes, depending on the type of cargo. You know, in the advanced countries, they always want to specialize anything. They produce a machine for it to facilitate the handling of that particular gear. As you can see, you see that this machine here has grabs. So when it comes around, you turn around and then hold this. This one will go in and grab the concrete so that it can move it about. It's positioned ready for grabbing it for transportation.